Where I'm at in Cannery Row is the No on O headquarters.
A drone like the one that's looking at me right now doesn't have the ability to spy on you at all, actually.
This is the fence we're talking about right here. You can see it behind me. The police investigation scene has now wrapped up here in the 100 block of Jefferson Street in Watsonville. Using this kind of technology, you can't just sneak up on something. Let me show you how loud it is once you start it and get it to take off.
Now, if you're like me, you wait till you have a big pile of dry cleaning before you take anything in. But those sturdy bags you got from a shopping trip are actually getting a lot harder to find.
The big concern was it spreading to nearby apartments. As you can see, they're very, very close together. More officers in riot gear walking toward the scene. There's a crowd that's gathered over here to my right. Just because it's dark and you can't see people actually walking around doesn't mean you're not being watched. Watsonville police say a suspect they've been trying to coax out of a home for more than 11 hours now here in the 100 block of West Beach. You can see those flashing lights there behind me. Somehow managed to escape. Now, even though the police tape is down here at the scene where I'm located, police are still investigating down there at that home. Police say the Santa Cruz SWAT team went into the Victorian home around 9 o'clock tonight. So far, they say the suspect is nowhere to be found. Detectives are going into the home, though, and a shed in the back, continuing to search for the suspect and any evidence. Now, this is who officers are looking for. They say 26-year-old Ramiro Castillo is wanted for attempted murder. That's for a shooting that happened last week on Grant Street near Marchant. Police responded to reports of a man in his 20s shot while walking on the sidewalk. As a result of that scene, the high school nearby was put on lockdown for a short period of time. The victim in that shooting survived. Evacuations did happen here earlier today, and people were unable to get into their homes for quite a while. Officers say these kinds of situations are handled very carefully.
There's a lot of reasons why.
Officers say they don't know if Castillo is armed or not at this point. Watsonville police says it's not going to release any information on Castillo, but says that he is known to the department. Now, the Red Cross was here earlier tonight. I'm told at least 17 people, including kids and adults, were not able to get into their home while all of this was going on during the standoff. So many of them are in a hotel room tonight. Some others were able to get a police escort back to their home. Live in Watsonville, Marissa Schwartz, your Central Coast News. Well, Spencer, today I spoke with people here near the Santa Cruz Yacht Club who say Forrest Hayes always seemed to enjoy his time here with friends and family aboard his yacht, which was out here before it was sold. So to learn, police say he had an ongoing relationship with a high-end prostitute is something they didn't see coming. A fatal attraction ending in the death of a well-respected tech executive, father, and husband. That's how investigators describe the relationship between 26-year-old Alex Tickleman and 51-year-old Forrest Hayes. Police say she touts herself as a model while boasting more than 200 clients she met through the website Seeking Arrangement. Through text messages and emails, police say Hayes and Tickleman had their last encounter in November after Tickleman was seen on surveillance video giving him that lethal dose of heroin. Acquaintances of Hayes say that's not the person they knew.
I think everybody's shocked. Everybody's talking about it and trying to make sense of it and trying to piece together what they knew about him.
Worried she was a flight risk, detectives say they lured Tickleman to Santa Cruz last Friday for a $1,000 rendezvous with a potential client where she was arrested. Police say a search warrant was served at her home in Folsom the same day.
It's very surprising. You wouldn't think that somebody would have that sort of a hidden life to them, to think that they could be part of something so insidious.
Investigators say Tickleman left Hayes in cold blood, didn't call 911, and pulled the shade to conceal his body. Some people in the harbor say rumors about his death have been swirling for the past few months.
Escape is a popular boat here in the harbor. We used to see them all the time. They're regulars on Wednesday nights, and often on the weekends you'd always see Escape coming in and out of the harbor.
Yesterday, we tried to speak with somebody at his home here in Santa Cruz who said they had no comment. Police say some family members may release a statement at some point down the line. Live in Santa Cruz, Marissa Schwartz, News Channel 5.
The video that we're going to see is not video that's been released yet. This is the first time you've seen it.
Using surveillance video from a nearby bakery, Police Chief Kelly McMillan took us scene by scene through Tuesday's deadly officer-involved shooting. He describes the officer's initial contact with suspect 44-year-old Carlos Mejia. McMillan says Mejia comes toward police holding 8-inch gardening shears.
The compelling part of this video, particularly in the upper part of the television screen, is where he's swinging them around and back and forth towards the police officers.
McMillan says officers tried to use a stun gun twice. He says the first time the stun gun didn't work, the second time it was ineffective.
He continually holds them by one handle, and they swing open and close.
Mejia is seen walking away from the two officers, gardening shears in hand. McMillan says the officer's priority was to arrest Mejia while trying to keep him away from the bakery or getting away. He says the pivotal moment came when officers had nothing to put between themselves and Mejia.
Right before the shots rang out, you'll see as he's walking away, taking steps, he'll plant his right foot, he'll shift his weight back to his left foot, and you'll see his right heel come up and pivot around as he begins turning back towards the officer.
That's when McMillan says both officers fired their guns. Now, Salinas Police is doing its own internal investigation into this officer-involved shooting and the one earlier this month at Mi Pueblo Shopping Center. They plan to forward both cases to the Monterey County District Attorney's Office, the San Francisco Bureau of the FBI, and the Department of Justice for outside evaluation. Back to you, Spencer.
I grew up on that street as well, my family. It just happened to be where the victim got shot. I grew up 2 houses down from there.
Last week's protest, peaceful by day, violent by night, is a scene that hits too close to home for Officer Daniel Garcia.
A little hectic given the situation, you know, going through the intersection, bottles being thrown, bricks, and then actually going to the scene where the victim had been shot.
Along with his brother Anthony, also a Salinas police officer, the two started CPR on homicide victim Constantino Garcia, an innocent bystander who walked outside to watch all the commotion coming from the protesters.
I've dealt with similar situations, but that night was probably one of the, stressful events that I've gone through.
As they worked to save the victim's life, Daniel was hit in the head by a glass bottle, a blow near his right temple, which could have been much worse than a mild concussion. As Officer Garcia patrols these streets in East Salinas, he says what happened that night right here will stick with him forever.
Everybody's entitled to their opinions. I just, hope that everybody just does it peacefully and not in the manner that it happened last week.
He's dealt with intimidation on the streets before and plans to continue using his skills to serve and protect in a place he calls home.
I love my job and I like working the east side, so it's just something I'm going to continue doing.
Daniel tells me there wasn't an ambulance available at the time he was hit in the head, so another officer put him in the back of a squad car to take him to the hospital to make sure he got the treatment he needed. In the newsroom, Marissa Schwartz, your Central Coast News.
Well, Mark and Jazz, it was pretty cool, I have to say. And here in our Digital Operations Center, you can see the screens behind me. Our staff manages about four to five at a time, but when the CBS Sports crew goes on the road, they're managing as many as 160 screens all at once with cameras and graphics, so it takes a lot of eyes to make sure everything runs smoothly.
9, 8, 7.
Minutes before going to air, everyone's buzzing and making sure everything is in place.
One of the main things I'm doing is trying to keep everybody relaxed before we go on the air for the next 3 hours.
And it takes fuel to keep this crew on their toes.
There's a lady from New York. She always asks for turkey sandwich. Cut the crust.
From cameras to computers, everything is packed up tightly so they can set up and tear down quickly from city to city.
We're in San Diego 1 week, we're in Phoenix the next week, so we pack everything up, drive off, and start setting up Monday, Tuesday every week.
It takes directors, producers, and even golf cart runners to make it all seamless for viewers.
It's hundreds of people that come to support everything from spotting to camera people, to replay people, to talent.
And this year, some new technology is helping them cover the tournament from different camera angles.
Our wireless cameras are now done a whole different way than we've done in the past.
So as the cameras move around, It's kind of like a cell phone. It'll get close to one antenna, farther away from another one.
This piece of equipment right here gets the video back to production. There are 14 sites around the course, 6 of these at each site.
It rarely breaks up. Even when they're moving, when they're on the driving around, you see almost perfect pictures.
Achieving the perfect picture doesn't always come easy.
You know, what's great about golf, you never know what's going to happen from one moment to another. So it's hard sometimes to plan.
Crews work 12 to 14-hour days.
To be honest, when you're doing golf, it's sun up to sundown.
And weather is also a major factor. When it rains, the tournament is delayed and the days get longer. They may work hard, but there's also a lot of laughs.
You know, when you do a golf show, you know, you're like your traveling circus.
Now after Pebble Beach, the CBS Sports crew heads down to Southern California for the next PGA stop in Pacific Palisades. Back to you, Jazz.